This episode has been brought to you by the National Advertising Challenge.
Are you responsible for your brand's voice? Do you love big ideas? NAC is a brief-based competition where brands ask for creative ideas to help solve their biggest marketing challenges. Brands write the brief, we send them out to top creative teams across the country, leading creative directors judge the concepts. You own all the ideas. Learn more about partnerships at nationaladvertisingchallenge.com.
Your story is one that the world knows by association. So when you go to a party of non-Hollywood insiders, and I gotta believe everybody's got to talk to you about what you do, and you're a pretty modest guy, but do you lead with, I do a little television production? Or if you're dealing with someone who's unbelievably obnoxious, would you ever say, like, have you ever heard of CSI? Or did you see Eugene Levy's acceptance speech for the 7 Emmys for Schitt's Creek, where he thanked me?
I want to thank our good friend Peter Sussman, who was so instrumental in putting this all together and getting us off the ground.
How did Schitt's Creek happen?
And you're right, I am a modest guy. I tend to, if someone's obnoxious, I usually just shy away. And if they're not, I tend to, I prefer to play down my experiences. Schitt's Creek has, like many projects, Schitt's Creek had an interesting beginning. Eugene and I have been friends for a long time. We produced a bunch of things together over the years. One of the things we produced, 20 years ago, we both exec produced. He wasn't in it. In fact, Joe Flaherty from SCTV was the lead in what we did. It was a series called MANIAC Mansion. It was a Lucasfilm game, so it was a co-production we did with Lucasfilm. And the secret about the Levy family is that Eugene's wife, Deb Devine, is the funniest one in the family by far. So I was always encouraging of Deb, who had not really flexed her comedic muscles on MANIAC Mansion. I kept encouraging her to write a script, and she finally did, and we produced it, and ended up being, frankly, one of the better episodes, as I suspected it might be, because she's so clever and funny. And so Deb always saw me thereafter as a bit of a, inspiration, maybe even mentor or whatever. Fast forward 20 years later, Deb calls me one day and says, I've written a feature script. I'd love your thoughts on it. I said, okay, send it over. And anyway, she sends me the script. I said, look, why don't we go have lunch and we can discuss it. So we have lunch, finish the discussion. As we walk out of the restaurant, Eugene's waiting by the curb in the car to pick up Deb. So I say to Gene, what's up? How you doing? What are you up to? He said, oh, I just produced this little promo for a new series I'm developed with Daniel, their son Daniel, called Schitt's Creek. And I said, oh, that's fantastic. What's your plan with it? And Eugene said, oh, my managers in LA are going to take it out and whatever. And as he's telling me this, I'm saying to myself, which is something I guess I might be pretty good at, in that I have a sort of an instinct about how maybe the path projects are best to go on. And Eugene, I don't know if you ever saw much about his career, but things like SCTV and Waiting for Guffman and A Mighty Wind and those kinds of things he made over the years were what I would call almost like home movies. And he was fortunately allowed to do them in an environment that was somewhat unfettered. He wasn't getting notes. He wasn't, he was allowed a latitude to make things that suits both his personality, his pace, and his comedic sense. So as he's telling me this, I'm thinking, I just don't think that's good. That's the best route to go into the U.S. market, because it's just the nature of Eugene. I said, look, Gene, I'm not involved, but do me a favor, send me the promo. I want to watch it, and then we'll talk about it. He sends me the promo, and it's fall down funny. And Catherine O'Hara is in it with him, and the two of them, especially because of those movies they had made with Christopher Guest, they're a bit of a franchise. So I called Gene. I said, look, it's fall down funny. It's really good. I really think you should, and you guys being a franchise, you really ought to try and sell it in Canada first and then go to the US once you have, let's say, a 10, 13 episode order, whatever. And so we went down that path. I went with Gene to the CBC and they bought the show. And so we then started building the pieces to go to camera, and 6 seasons later and it was actually It was 8 Emmy Awards, 6. It was the first time ever in the history of television that a comedy show, not Archie Bunker, not Seinfeld, not MASH, not Lucille Ball. It's the first time a comedy show ever won all 6 major categories: writing, directing, all 4 acting categories, and best series.